E 8.14. Vandiver Company had the following select transactions. Prepare journal entries to record the transactions. Vandiver prepares adjusting entries once a year on December 31st. Okay, let's see. On April 1st of 2020, accepted Goodwin Company's 12-month 6% note in settlement of a 30,000 accounts receivable. Here, even though we have the numbers here, we don't want to calculate it right now, right? Because we're going to accrue all of this interest on December 31st. So for now, we just have to record that we received this note. So we're going to have notes receivable goes up, and it is in settlement, so it is in an exchange of accounts receivable. So originally this was an accounts receivable, but now we're going to have notes receivable, so accounts receivable has to go down, and that's why it is on the bottom, and that is 30,000. On July 1st of 2020, loan 25,000 cash to Thomas Slocombe on a 9-month 10% note. Again, here we're just recording that you loan cash and you received a note. So notes receivable has to go up again, and it was in an exchange of cash. You gave cash to somebody and the amount was 25,000. On December 31st of 2020, you accrue interest on all notes receivable. Yes, this part is where we need to calculate the interest. Since we have two different notes, I'm going to put a 1 here and a 2 here for us to understand better. So over here, before we make the entry, let's take a look over here. So for the first note, it is a Goodwin Company, right? It is a 12-month note, so I'm going to make a timeline here. And originally, it was on April 1st of 2020. Since it is a 12-month, it's going to be due on April 1st of 2021, correct? Yeah. So we have to take a look here at the accrual date. It is on December 31st of 2020. Since the first date was December 1st, I recommend you to first count until December 1st of 2020 and then put another write another part here for December 31st of 2020. Why is that? Because you're going to realize that the time is different. For example, from April 1st of 2020 to December 1st, 2020, how many months do we have? We have April 1st, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. From here to here, we actually have 8 months, right? But the accrual date is on December 31st. So from here to here, 1 month also has passed, right? So we have to include this as well. So in total, for this part over here, until the accrual date, 9 months have passed. 9 months, correct? Okay, so the original value was 30,000. It was a 6% note, and 9 divided by 12. One more time, I think I said this on the previous videos, but remember that this 12 over here, this number is always related to the year. So if we're dealing with months here, we're doing 8 months in 1 month, right? So we're dealing with months, that's why I have 12. If we were dealing with days here, I would have 360, regardless of how long my note is. Even if this was a 9 months note, it would still be 12. That is 1,350. Okay, and this is the interest for the first note, the Goodwin note. For the second note, we're also going to make a timeline. So the second note was signed on July 1st of 2020, and it is a 9 months note, which means that we're gonna have July until April 1st as well, right? of 2021. And the same thing, the accrual date is the same. So same thing, I recommend you should put December 1st of 2020 and then December 31st of 2020, and then you calculate the months. Okay, so from here to here, July, August, September, October, November, December 1st, right? Okay, so here 5 months have passed, and then until December 31st we're gonna have one more month. So here we're gonna have one. So in total 6 months have passed until the accrual date. For the second note, the value was 25,000 and it was times 10% times 6 months divided by 12. You see this note, it is a 9 months note, but we're still putting 12 on the bottom here, correct? Okay, that is 1,250. So what we want to do is to adjust the entry on December 31st, right? So we have to calculate the total interest. And the total interest is going to be the sum of both of these interests together. So it is this plus this. So here we're gonna have 1,350 plus 1,250. That is 2,600. So our entry here, we're going to have two types of interest, right? We have the interest receivable and we're going to have the interest revenue, and both of them are 2,600. But why are the positions like this? Why is receivable here and revenue here? Well, receivable is an asset, so it is a plus and a minus. In this position, it is a plus, which means that the receivable is going up, and the revenue is also going up, because revenue, it is a minus and a plus. In this position, it is a plus, which means that my revenue for lending money to other people is also going up. So which means that the money that I have to receive goes up, and also my revenue from lending money to people is also going up, and that's why I have in the position like this. And that is for December 31st, the accrued interest on all notes receivable. April 1st of 2021 received interest on all, no, received principal plus interest on the Goodwin note. The Goodwin note is the first one, right? So that means that right now we are over here. Okay, so for that one, we're going to make a bigger entry because we're going to get the full amount, which means that it has to be a bigger entry. Okay, so let's take a look here. You're going to receive the principal plus the interest. Okay, so you're going to receive this principal in what? In cash, right? So cash has to go up and notes receivable has to go down, because that is the due date, which means that after this April 1st, 2021, we're not going to have any more notes. That's why the notes have to go down. Now here in the middle, we're going to have the two types of interest that we saw before. We're going to have the interest receivable, and we're also going to have the interest revenue. Okay, so over here, if we take a look at the first one, we already figured out something, right? We already figured out this part. For this part, we have 1,350. That is what? That is my interest revenue, right? That is how much money I am making until December 31st. But how much money do I still have to receive? How much money it is receivable to me in the future? Well, that we have to calculate, because that part, it is that part from here to here. Since this is a 12-month note, and here on the left side, we have 9. How many months we have? We have 3 here. So we have to calculate the value for these 3 months. These 3 months left that are that we have to calculate. So this one, the original amount was 30,000, correct? And then it is 6%, and then the months that we have left are 3 divided by 12. That is 450. So here we're gonna have 450, and the original note was 30,000. Add all of this up to figure it out, the total amount that I'm going to get in cash. That is the total amount. Last question. April 1st, 2021, Thomas Locombe dishonored his note. Vendor expects it will eventually collect. So every time you see dishonor, that means that this note was originally, it was this note, right? It was originally from July 1st of 2020 until April 1st of 2021. When this date came, this guy, he was supposed to pay the full amount, the note, the value of the note plus all of the interest, but he did not pay that amount. That's why it is dishonored. When you dishonor, probably the person that lent the money, which in this case is the vendor company, have two options. They can either expect that it will eventually collect. They will think, they can think like, okay, this person, even though he did not pay me in time, he can pay me in the future because that company is not broke. Or he can basically just like give it up, and then we're gonna have to bet that expense, right? But in this case, vendor expects that it will eventually collect. So what entry are we going to make for this one? Here we're gonna have April 1st, 2021. It is a big entry as well. Since I expect that I'm gonna collect this money, it means that somebody has to pay me something, right? So what I'm gonna credit? I'm gonna credit accounts receivable. Because over here, do you see that the original entry was cash, right? But he's not paying me. But I expect him to pay me in the future. So that's why here we're gonna have accounts receivable. And the same thing on the bottom is going to be notes receivable, because originally this was a note, but right now we're not gonna have it anymore. And for the notes receivable, it is the original amount, which is 25,000. Okay, then on the middle, again, we're gonna have the both types of interest that we are dealing with. We're gonna have interest revenue and interest receivable. The order doesn't matter. Okay, so let's take a look here. This one is, which note is that? That is the Thomas note. The Thomas note is the second note. It is this note over here. So we already have something, right? We already have the 1,250. This is going to be the interest receivable. So over here, we're gonna put 1,250. But we still have the rest of it, right? We still have this part over here from December 31st to April 1st. How many months do we have? Since this is a 9 months note, over here we're gonna have 3 more months. Okay, so let's calculate it. Over here we're gonna have 25,000 times, how much was that? Thomas was 10%, and we're left with 3 months that we have to calculate. So that is going to be 3 divided by 12. That is 625. And then we're gonna add all of these numbers here on the left to see how much will be our total amount to be received. That will be 26,875.